Okay, hi everyone. I hope you hear me okay. So let me get all set up. So the Summer Cup has started in Ireland. It's a tournament that will take place in 5 rounds and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. So we have 18 players ranking from 20Q to 2 Dan. Most of the players are, I would say, between 9Q and 1 2 Dan. We have a few players around 11, 12, 13Q and 120Q. So, but she's a young player and she might have already improved. So she might be already more than 20Q. We'll see. I'm gonna review two boards, at least one for sure. So board one and maybe if I have time, board two. But I think board one is playing quite slowly, so we probably will have time to switch between the two boards. So um, just wanted to check if I'm live. I think I am. Okay, yeah, I am. So that's great. Just to make sure that everything goes fine, and I'll check the chat here. I hope it will be fine. Sometimes I don't see the chats. So let's review this first game. So this game is between Gavin Rooney, who is 2 Dan, probably a bit more. He plays black. He was our representative at the World Amateur Go Championship. So he's quite a strong player. He did some great game during the WAGC. So I would rank him probably more around 3 Dan, I guess. He might actually have become 3 Dan now that he played the tournament. He also played in the Russian Cup and did something like 3 out of 5. So quite a big achievement in a very hard competition. On top of that, we have his opponent, who is also very interesting, John Courtney. So he's 1 Dan officially. Well, you can see he's 2Q in the pairing list, but he's actually 1 Dan. I think he didn't play many tournaments. Um, so that's interesting because he's actually probably also a bit stronger than that. And basically, I think there are both these players are really very serious and Go and very strong players. So that's the first round, the first game, but probably a very tough game already for both opponents. So I'm really looking forward to see what are the results about these games. Apart from that, you can find the pairing on the website. You can find everything, the rules. So we use the Brez system, which is pretty much a kind of McMahon system with some points for different categories. So we have 3 categories. Each of these categories we actually have a specific price. So then the prize is some 3 editions of the e-edition, the Go journal that was edited by Artem. So it's more a symbolic prize, but I think it's quite cool to have a prize for this Summer Cup. Now, probably time to jump into the games. So unfortunately, one of the board didn't start, so that's a pity, but one of the players is missing. So um, I'm just keeping an eye on that to see if it's starting, but I think we are missing a player. Okay, let's see what happens here. So black, Gavin started with this opening here. So very AI style. Okay, so black approaches immediately. So that means black doesn't want to go for a kind of shimmery game. Of course, nowadays with the AI, you would have this kind of shimmery, which would be very popular, particularly with the low stone at D3. You would usually play the shimmery low at O3. But here white chose this double Komuku opening. So that's an unusual one. It was very popular when Goseigen started playing it. It's actually difficult to handle, I think. I like to play it too, so just to show you the kind of thing that used to be, I just show you one variations here. Actually, black can approach both sides. So these kind of things could happen. And Goseigen analyzed that and said basically it's not bad for white because in a way you could consider that the territory for black is not that big. Just to show you, of course, an extreme variation that would never happen in a real game, but you can see that black territory is not more than 10, 12 points. And white is actually gaining on the corner, maybe a little bit in the center. So this territory is not so big. So this is playable for white. Of course, white can also choose to use this. Well, actually, we'll see what happened in the game. Okay, because white could actually probably pincer and try something else, or even play a shimmery on his own here. So the white double facing Komoku is something that can lead to many various openings. Quite challenging. I think it's not so easy to play because the direction of play for white is not obvious, but it's really interesting. It can be very fighting. Another option I think for white is to play a pincer. So it's nowadays I think nobody plays pincers anymore against the high approach because C15 is considered so good. But I really think at our level, and when I say our level, it's below 2 or 3 dan. We can play pincer, and the difference in points is definitely not worth mentioning. I mean, even if you lose 3 or 4 points according to AI at this stage, there is no way an amateur at our level can handle this lead up to the end. So if you prefer a fighting game, if you prefer pincers, you could try, for example, a high pincer and go for something a bit more, something like that. Can't remember the exact, maybe something like that. Sorry in advance for the variations. That's just to show you another thing that white can try if he wants to build a bit of a moyo. So there are options for white to try something with a pincer. I think people are not playing pincer anymore enough because it's more fun, but they are all playing the very safe variations here. Of course, it's very good for white because you get 15 points of nearly solid territory, and you've got the komi, so it definitely goes for I would say variations where white is going to have a lead in territory and taking very solid points straight from the beginning. And here white approaches. So again, white could go for the shimmery, something like that maybe. And probably black would play a shimmery, so probably white didn't like that because the direction of play is not great. The stone at 2 is actually really helping limiting the influence of the white shimmery. But I think this is still very playable for white. It gives black a little bit of initiative, so black will be able to expand the right side and will in a way be the one who can fight in his own sphere of influence. So that's something that probably white didn't want. So white approaches. Only problem is now the stone at d3 is not so easy to, let's say, black approaches. I would say in a way, the stone at d3 seems to leave plenty of space for black to expand. And that's maybe you would prefer to have a Hoshi or something else. But anyway, that at this stage, everything is very normal. And black plays super solid. So I actually don't know Gavin's style enough, but I think I remember from a few games I saw from the WAGC that he's playing quite solid because he likes fighting. So when you are a fighter, you usually play very solid because you cannot fight if you have weak groups. Okay, so that looks a bit strange. Probably a bit flat. You see what I mean? You have 3 stones on the 3rd line. So overall, I don't like the shape of white at the bottom. So I guess white has some other options. So first could be just to play high. I think that's quite popular nowadays. I don't know if you can do it with the Kosumi. I know you can do it with the Keima. But even I would play something else. Maybe it's time for the Shimari now. You can consider P3 as a kind of Kikeshi, because if black plays there, you can still go out, or you can sacrifice, and in a way there will be more agi than just leaving the Shimari to black. So these are other way of playing, but I think this seems to be a good shape, or maybe two space, but high, because here it looks a bit, you feel you will, I don't know. So I just showing something where you feel you are really flattened on the third line, and it's quite painful. It's quite painful. Oh, I can see 7 live games, so that means a game is already finished. What happened? Okay, it seems like one of the game disappeared from the room, so I don't know what happens. I don't know which one. Mhm. Okay, I'll keep an eye on the messages. Okay. Let's see. So you see, black is playing fast. Maybe black should use the initiative immediately to flatten white, but and strangely enough, I think I'd like to play on this area just to make the invasion on the right side a bit more difficult, because the top, there is no possible expansion, or maybe this, but nowadays it's more popular to enclose the corner because it's a bit more solid points. But maybe it's time to play, and I don't know, like all these are very big moves. Um, I think black is happy because white is flat, so he doesn't feel in a bad position. But leaving this shimmery seems maybe a bit of a pity. So could black play something where he could, I don't know, approach and then play here? Might be better than leaving the shimmery to white, or something like that. No, I think that would be interesting, because the one is very forceful. It's very difficult for white to play away from white, from from this area, and this way black can kind of limit the influence of white, whereas in the game white is happy to be able to play the shimmery in a way. That was a point he wanted to play. He was allowed to play on the bottom right and then to come back to this point. So maybe a slight missed opportunity here. And black plays solidly. Okay, so we can see again black playing super solid. You can feel that black wants to be in a position to attack and to develop the center probably. Q5 and E9 are all building the center, and black definitely wants to be able to attack. For example, if white comes here, I don't know, something like that, um, you can feel black will be in an attacking position. And also black will be able to attack in this area because black is super solid everywhere. So black is opening up his options. So that's a very interesting strategy in general. Oh, that's what happened in the game. Okay. So that's a very interesting style of play where you play very solid in the beginning. It can look a bit slow, but if you like to attack, it offers you the platform for attack later on. If you play a fast-paced game as black, it's more difficult to attack because you cover more ground, so you have a bit more territory potential, but you might be behind in terms of strength, and so it becomes more difficult to attack your opponents. So actually, white invaded exactly here, and I think that really makes sense that black push in this direction. Okay, and black plays a Keima. Um, I don't know. I don't know this shape well enough. Of course, you probably know the Kosumi. The good thing about the Kosumi is it's sente. It's absolute sente, so you can play away. So, for example, if the plan of black is to, I don't know, play something like that. I'm just showing an example, but if black wants to invade the bottom and attack, with one he's sure he can do it, because here, yeah, so exactly what I was about to point out. So what happens if white doesn't answer, which he can consider his two stones as light, and this is a really, really big point. So it kind of strengthens, it makes it very more difficult for black to do something in the bottom side. So of course white has a weak group on the right, but because black played s15, again, it can be considered as a kikashi, R14. So in a way, even if black re-attack, white could nearly sacrifice these two stones. They have played a role, so white is happy enough. So maybe S15 is interesting, but it lacks a bit of pressure on white. Okay, so black has two options, I would say here, or three options. The first option would be to jump into white's area at the bottom. And I think that's a very valid option because it starts to be a big one. But he would lose the initiative. He would end up being attacked, and we can feel that was definitely not Black's plan. Black's plan was to keep the Sente and be the one to attack. So Black could attack the two stones, of course, something like that, or something like that. But there is this slight feeling that Black is putting too many stones in this area. That basically white could nearly sacrifice it and still be in a pretty good position overall. So I understand why black doesn't attack it straight away. So the third option, and that's what black is doing, is basically saying, okay, let's build up, and maybe this white stone will get swallowed on a very large scale, or at least feel the pressure of being in a gigantic black's net. Um, so that's probably a very interesting option too, but it's difficult to play. That means white has options at this stage. Um, so we can see that black didn't exchange this move and white didn't exchange this move. So there are two Kikashi that sometimes AI play that here were not played. I don't know if these are always good exchanges. I'm checking the chat, I don't see anything, so I don't know if there is really nothing or if my stream is lagging. So apologies if I don't answer to your chat. I always have problem with the Twitch chat. Anyway, so I think at this stage, white needs to probably take care of the two stones because the pressure is building up. What is the best way for white to do that? You could have a kind of very light high jump, just to be ready to sacrifice part of it. You could also try to over concentrate black, something like that. You can see that black has a lot of stone and it seems to be slightly over concentrated now. Even just play this way, try to strengthen the shape, or white could try something, lighter, be ready again to sacrifice on the left or on the right with this kind of shoulder hit. Finally, white could just ignore again and just play I don't know, a border move like that, but it looks a bit too small to play at the bottom right now. So the top right seems to be really the important point. White could go for points, but it looks a bit early. There is a merit to this move though, because it slowly starts to say, okay, maybe this black group on the right is actually a weak group too. So I think R2 will be very big very quickly, because if at some point uh, white can be quite solid on the two sides, this black group will slowly have to defend itself. Okay, so white plays from this direction. So I don't really like this move because black plays very close to white's strength, and in a way f17 is a strength. And in a way you are playing from your strengths by playing this kind of move. So white is playing from his own strengths and helping black build strength. So now we can feel, we don't know really what white achieved. He kept an eye on the center, but he really helped black building the territory on the top and strengths overall to attack the two black stones. So I really don't like this move in terms of direction, but maybe I'm wrong. It just seems a bit strange. I think it would be easier to just consolidate this group, because until this group is consolidated, that means white won't be able to attack there. There will be nothing there. It's difficult to do anything there. So white needs to be a bit more solid with these two stones. And if he really wants to maybe keep the option of sacrificing them, why not play a light move, which at least erodes a bit of the center. But okay, so white consolidates and take the points. So really white wants to sacrifice these stones. Clearly, he doesn't want to put any more stones around the R11, R14 area. When I become famous, okay, that's just spam. Okay, so, and black is playing this move. So that's a huge move because it's really completely taking the base out of white. Um, of course, before that, there are a few options. So this one is really, I would say, the simplest one to just build a bit of strength, but white could also try something like that. So there are a few weak points in this shape that are all disappearing with this move, or vastly disappearing. But in a way, white was ready to sacrifice this stone, so I don't think he will be too bothered by this move. Because again, let's play something like that. You don't really mind about R14, right? It's just a light stone, and black already played, I would say, 1, 2, 3 stones around. So I mean, the value of A has decreased a lot now. So maybe another option for black could have been to launch a big attack, like something. It's not so easy for white to leave. I mean, I don't think white has a definite I shape here. So okay, and one space jump. Yep. So that was the same idea. I think maybe two space jump keeps more option to sacrifice if needed. The only problem with the one space jump is you could be capped. You could lose slightly the race to the center. But I slowly start to like white because I think black is over investing a little bit in this attack, and the fact that white could play A and B, and in exchange it's like black got C and D, and I think A and B are bigger basically. So black goes on with his strategy of going really slow to build an attack. Oh, Morrigan Flora, what do you mean? I already finished my game with Roy. Okay. So the game I thought didn't start as in fact started. Sorry, I'm also the referee for this tournament, so I'm trying to follow up what's happening. Okay, they had opened the game in private, so that's why I couldn't see it. Okay, so let's see what happens. So, oh, so white is consolidating this stone. I find that a little bit inconsistent with the fact that white tenukied many times. So maybe white thinks it helps a lot with the I shape, but at this stage, I would really go on with jumping in the center just because you just want this group to be out, and I don't think black is building up much. So of course it will help a little bit if black invades, but right now this looks a bit slow to me. Okay, so black goes for the severe attack now. So in a way that makes sense. because white added a stone, so now this black is a bit heavy. This group is a bit heavy, so black wants to attack. And now we have white struggling a little bit to get some shape. So you can see why adding a stone doesn't sound so great now, because it's not obvious if white created any eye shape for himself with these moves. Wow. Okay, this looks strange. I can see the idea here. You want to make some eye shape around P12 and then play S12. But this looks a bit strange though. Okay, so black is building the center. Okay. So at any point now, I think white can play this, which makes him alive because there is Miai between this and this. So white is alive basically. So the fact that white is alive makes this whole sequence a bit strange for black. I wonder if this move is really good. Maybe just, you know, actually, it's not, maybe this. Anyway, the question is what black wants to, because black won't kill, so the question is what black wants to achieve by attacking this. Maybe this attack is a bit early at this stage. I wonder, because it's not that clear what black can achieve yet by attacking. If he wants to build a Moyo at the top, or if he wants to build strength to invade the lower side. So when you don't know exactly what to expect from the attack, maybe it's not super easy to attack actually. And this shape seems a bit damage sumari. Okay, so white knows that he's alive at any point, so he can play a bit more aggressive, because you could imagine if white couldn't play this kind of move and leave, white would probably play a bit safer, something like that. But here he can afford to push, because if something happens at any point, he can comes back here. So that allows to fight first. I don't know, fight like that and create some more difficult situation for black. Okay, so two players are in the middle of a very, very heavy running fight. Okay, so you can see white playing at the border, really on the edge. So he has a lot of cutting points, but his idea is clear. It's I can leave at any point. So if you try to kill me, let's say you play this, it's not even easy to kill, but let's say you play this. At any point I can play that, and then you are in trouble basically. Or if you go fighting, at any point I can come back and leave here. So I have basically only one group to handle instead of two. So it looks like white has a lot of groups to handle, but in fact he doesn't have so many groups to handle. Okay, so white plays on the edge and black says, okay, I'm gonna use all your cutting points and do something. So let's see. So white handles this group on the left, saying exactly like I just explained, that basically my group on the right is alive. But now clearly this kind of move is sente, because otherwise black can kill white. Well, actually that's what black plays, and white leaves. Okay. Can he leave this way? So let's check. So basically the question is, because if that's this way, of course, white is alive. So the question is, can black place here? Looks a bit dangerous, no? So I'm a bit surprised. So this doesn't work, and this. So I'm just trying these variations just to show what happens, but it doesn't seem very clear to me that white is alive, so I don't know why white played q16. I would have expected white to play here, because then that's definitely a miai between these two moves. And here black cannot kill, so... Oh, so okay, so black played there, and white realized his mistake and played here. So that's a huge loss. It's like 10 points, but also, well, actually, these stones were not doing much, so it's not such a huge loss, but that's still a pity because I think this move was working nicely. And I mean, there was some Yose in this area, so at any point, black can come back and take these 5 stones, and also that means the stones here are not in real trouble because at any point black can come back, so there won't be any shenanigans in this area. Okay, so small misreading by white. The good point about q15 though is that there is probably a bit of agi on the top. So for example, I don't know, things around here, there might be something here, or even just pushing through like that. I don't know. It's not obvious that white can do something, but he can probably. Yeah, I think there are a few things that white can do thanks to this stone. So in a way, white didn't lose everything. He has options to try to break on the top. And black plays here. Who? That's a challenging move. So it looks like a ladder breaker, of course. So let's say white answers. Black can play here, but first, is it that big? Yes, okay, it's quite big. Second, is this really a ladder breaker? So let's look at it. So it is a ladder breaker because another ladder doesn't work anymore. So it is, the idea is to play a ladder breaker. I wonder if white can play something like, actually I wonder what's the exact cost of these stones in the center, but I guess they are quite costly because if white loses them, there is a potential for big center territory, but white could play there, for example, and it's probably not so big. It's 10, 15 points more, but I don't know if it's worth playing this Kikashi to get this ladder breaker. I would have expected black to play maybe, I don't know, something around here, because it's probably also a ladder breaking move at some point. Or here, and it's more, again, more forceful on white, and white actually just say, okay, I don't mind. So here the idea is clearly I don't mind about the ladder breaker, because what I want to do is sacrifice these and take the points at the bottom. I guess that's the idea here. But we can feel white probably wants to counterattack because there was this kind of misread here. So white wants to come back into the game. So actually, I think I catch up with the game. Oh, and black is going out. Yeah, okay, so that's the game, and that's the last move of the game. So I'm pretty sure this kind of variations will take place. I don't think there is anything else white can do. And that's it. Basically, at this stage, white will connect. So we can see black will take more points. So the question is who won in this exchange? So I think white has to add a move, because otherwise, let's say, I'm pretty sure now there is some bad variations around here. But if white had the move and black can play here, I think that's also a big territory. So I don't know who is ahead at this stage. White built a pretty big bottom, so 5 times 10 basically, so nearly 50 points, nearly 60 points at the bottom. So that's a big territory, and 15 plus the commis, so nearly 80 points for white. And what's the size of this territory from black? So we have nearly 20 points of potential prisoners. We have 20 and 20, 40. Yeah, probably around 45, 50 points, plus the prisoner 70, plus the bottom right at least 12, even 15, so 85, and the left. So probably black is a bit ahead, but remember that we need to assess what's the capacity for white to break this area. So I guess this doesn't hurt black too much because he's so strong with the put that you see where the cutting stones now are a pain, because you could imagine this could be super painful for black, but now black really doesn't matter because he can capture this at any point, and that's really a pain. Anyway, so I guess we'll jump onto the next game, which is James versus Cian. Let me open that. So okay. Okay, so this is so black is James, and he's one down, and his opponent is Cian Sinot, and he is supposed to be 2Q on the ladder, but I think he's a bit stronger than that too. Let's review that. Let me bring this window here. Okay. So okay, so white played. So I know very well James in terms of play. Oh, I have some commentary. Hi Philip, maybe 016 for black. Sorry, I should have seen that while we were talking. Luis runs his way against the Rolling Stones. Okay, so Rory was actually commenting and saying that in the other game, the fact that white loses the center stones allow him to maybe go and break the top, which we probably will see in the game. We'll see if this happens or not. I agree with you. If this allows that, that would be kind of compensation for the loss of the stones. But let's see it. Yeah, sorry, my chat monitoring is a bit weak. So yeah, I know James' style quite well because I played so many games against him, but I don't know Cian at all. Nearly, I saw him play maybe only a few times. So black goes for the triple stone on the third line. So as I said in the other game, for me it always looked a bit flat, but I guess this is playable. Maybe even James studied that, and there I kind of remember. I will show you something. How was it? I guess it was in this kind of situation, you could actually trigger, I think there was a pincer like that. I actually won't remember the sequence, but I remember a super complex sequence where you could pincer when white was approaching this way, and thanks to the k3 stone, you could basically have some good follow-up on the bottom in a tricky sequence. So maybe James knows something about that. And white approaches. So nowadays, white isn't really afraid of pincers, even in this kind of configuration where there is a stone in the middle, because um, I mean, AI are approaching this way and don't seem to be afraid. So basically, the idea is okay, I can still do it. And this is a very common pincer nowadays. So the two space high. The idea being that if there is a fight like that, so this kind of sequence. So that's without the stone at k3. And so there are various options here, I guess, something like that. Anyway, so something like that, but with the stone at k3, the white group looks a bit cramped. Oh, well, that's exactly what happened in the game. Okay, so they played this sequence. So I was about to say maybe in this kind of configuration as white, I would not play the Keima, but play something, I don't know, maybe even, I love these variations. I don't know why it's not played anymore a lot. I think it's still a very interesting, interesting way to play, because there are plenty of things that can be, for example, if you play like that, you are kind of breaking the pincer stone, and there is still some agi. And if black adds a move, you can add a move, and I don't think the result is too bad for white, really. So I think this kind of play can be a bit light. This leads to an immediate fight, so that's interesting. Actually, James sometimes like territory, but I think in the recent games where I was saying that, he played a bit more fighting games, so he probably has his style is changing. So they play these variations. I have never seen it with these K3 stones. So it seems the result will be super hard for white, but let's see. Okay, so black can play here or can play R4, I guess. I don't know exactly the difference between the two, I'm sorry. Okay. Um, so first, I think white can play that. It's probably a detail, but I wonder if it's not a bit more, a bit better on points. And so of course there is this immediate cut. Okay, it doesn't work. Um, and it seems super painful to have to play this move. And what if black plays there? I think that's a really good move for black, or am I missing something? So overall, I think black one looks like a key point, because in my memory, white would like to play here. And actually, yes. I mean, you could even probably consider sacrificing that, but the shape is not so great for white. So white is busy at this stage anyway. So that's why I don't like these variations for white, because the group at the bottom is really not in a, I mean, this group here is really not in a good position either. So if black can get stronger on this side, the bottom group will have a tough time. So I really wonder if this move was not better for James. Because here, of course, white gets what he wants. He protected the cutting point at q6 in Sente, and he can still go out. So not too bad for Cian. Okay, so that's This kind of fight is super hard to analyze. I have the feeling that playing on both sides seems a bit strange. There is a very, very bad shape here, which is a torn Keima, so it doesn't look good for black at all. So usually I would say probably not push here, or maybe don't push another time. So play one, and I mean, it's not like this move is too bad for black either. So I really think this move is really not good, because this, I mean, white doesn't have the time to play that, right? Now you can play it because you are already out on the other side. And I mean, even with something like that, white is busy, like he's nearly surrounded. So I wouldn't push white out like that. Okay, so this fight slowly starts to look good for white because of this bad shape that black created for himself. Because now black is busy too, and so this is a running fight for everybody. The question is always the same. It was black area, so what will black get from it? Yeah, so this move is super big because it's Sente, and I wonder if at this stage white should not play something like that or like that, because it's if black, I mean, if black doesn't add a move, if white can leave underneath, it's very good for him. And this move looks so good for black. So particularly at this specific point, because now that black invested a move in Q11, you don't want to see your right side being robbed and having white get a live base. But white is also worried about leaving, so yeah, the shape now is really bad for white. Okay, so this is Sante. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the shape is terrible for white. I don't think this move is needed. So if you want to play there, just play here. Um, because later on you can play this move anyway. Okay, so white is in good shape here. So is it needed? I think as white, I would really like to go out now, because the shape is not too bad here. There is no immediate follow-up for black. And I mean, this would be too much. So I don't think black has an immediate way to surround white. So of course, black can build some strength, but this move at one is key point two, because, oh, and black pushes again. Okay. So none of the players seem to be interested into this area, but for me, this move is massive. Like it's completely splitting white from his ally on the left. And it's also bringing a bit of help to this group on the bottom, because in a way, I mean, there are options for white to try to counterattack here. So not now, but if white plays a move here, and let's say something like that happens, and I don't know, and white wants to play here, black has also some problem, right? And if black dies here, that's a lot of points for white. So of course it depends on the group in the center for white, but still seems a key point. Whereas here, I'm not sure what white is achieving here. At least white can probably jump to get a bit ahead of black, or even try to be a bit more aggressive, because this black group in the center is supposed to be weak. And if white doesn't use that, he will just be chased. I mean, we can see that white here doesn't gain anything, and black for each step in the center is getting less weak. So At this stage, I really think black is getting better at each step. And white tries the cut. Does this work? So what happens if I play there? Okay, I don't know why I have this feeling that this is slightly overplay, but maybe it's not, and maybe actually this shape has this weakness. You kind of want to play something strange, right? But this doesn't work, obviously. Okay, so maybe this works. But then that's a disaster for black because white can leave at any point now. And they play elsewhere. Wow. Okay, so I'm very surprised that black is playing there. So for me, there is still a fight going on. So first, there is this area is not completely settled for black. So I think a move around here is really big. And more important, I think this area is not settled at all, and that's super big. And maybe if you want to do something a bit more indirect, play a shoulder hit here, maybe something like that, you know. And I mean, white is really surrounded, so it's not like, yeah, I think black is missing the key point here, probably. But if I was white, I think I would just extend. Something like that, just to connect everybody and put the pressure on on black. And look at black's points. It's not obvious where black's points are. Well, you can say the same for white though. So at least you don't have, you kind of settle your weak groups. This looks like a bit too automatic nowadays. I would say this double pincer is not scary anymore because AI keep using it, so you can really play easily against that. Even you can play that, and you know, this kind of sequence. I mean, you will settle down as white. There is no problem to settle your stone, so it's not like the double pincer is a real threat. And black comes back. Okay, so white lost really an opportunity here. Black get a kind of free move at c14. I really think white missed something here. Maybe the jump is a bit too solid. I think maybe more indirect would be more interesting. At least putting the pressure either on the left or on the right. But here it's a bit like in the middle. But it's the shape for white is really terrible. So that's why I think white really needs to add something here. Yeah, so okay, so black is leading the fight since the beginning. He has chased one group, a second group. He's playing very active, but he still hasn't taken a definite lead, I would say. There are still a lot of groups all over the place. Black doesn't have so many points yet, so he still needs to find how to transform this attack into something absolutely clear. And white tries to counterattack, which is really interesting. But is there anything there? Okay, so that we have catch up with the game. So um, if white cannot find anything, he is in a tough spot. So I guess the only, well, probably white can play there. So first things first, what about this version? Well, I don't think there is anything for white really. So there is nothing for white here. This version doesn't seem more promising. Let's remember that at any... Oh, okay, not that. Maybe actually, well, even that works perfectly fine for black. Yeah, so white is in tough spot because his shape is really bad. Not his shape, but his eye shape is really bad. So I think he will have to run with a Kosumi or something like that. But not obvious to see where he will make 2i. So this was clearly very greedy move. Like white wants to say, okay, that's my points. But maybe white needed to go out because remember this black group in the center is still not out. So why not chase it a little bit? And I mean, if something like that happen, there is also options on the right. So I think basically white was very greedy at some point, wanted to go for points, like this move here and this move here. White wants to take some points, which we can understand because he had nearly no points at some stage. So white wants to make sure he has some, but it's a fight. So when it's a fight, you cannot afford to lose a step in the running fight. Um, okay. Well, I guess that's where we are now. So let's go back to the other game, and we can come back to this one later. So, have I lost the other game? It was here. And the main game. Okay, so let's see what happened in this game. So we were on board one. It was John versus Gavin. Okay, so we're at this specific counter-attack moment where black played a ladder breaker and white started to counterattack. So we can feel why white is counterattacking because he had kind of misread on the right and he wants to basically recover from that. So that makes sense. And black says, okay, you didn't answer my ladder breaker, so I'm just going my ladder out, which makes sense. And we said probably white will sacrifice, push a kind of broken ladder like Lysidol and try to build. But first he plays a few Kikashi. I think they are very good timing because once the 5 stones here are in Atari, this kind of move will not work again. So you need to play them now and it's perfect timing, I guess. So very good exchanges. And now he's pushing the ladder. Okay, this way. So white is trying something much more difficult. I think he will try to connect these stones. I think so, at some point after pushing the ladder, and say that even if black plays that, he doesn't have a working ladder here. But that's really a dangerous way to play. It can work. Okay, so he's going all in. White is going all in. So very interesting. Oh, no, sorry. So I completely misunderstood what white was about to do. So white want to sacrifice not the central stone, but these bottom stones. And that's basically the same idea. You want to make points. but he wants to save the central stones afterwards to reduce black center. So the other options we had analyzed was this one. And basically whites want to do the same thing, but on the other side. So, okay. Ooh, and this connection. So white has a lot of cutting points. I don't think this works very well. So first there is a cutting point here. Then there is a cutting point, well, at least a bad shape here. And then there are all these cutting points and these cutting points. So by playing there, white is trying the maximum potential connection, but I mean, this is a cutting point. This will definitely be a super annoying move, and even this could be annoying. So I really think white is trying too hard here. Also because who cares about this stone at L11? Like, I think at the very least, white should secure this because black won't take this. We don't mind about that. So yeah, of course, it reduces a bit this area, but white will probably suffer a lot from all the cutting points, and not even mentioning just something like that. Okay, now you have to run and try to connect, but what if you cannot connect? You might just die. So I think this is really, really ambitious by white. Like at this stage, I'm not even sure which one I would connect, but bottom is so big, I might just play here to keep the to keep the number of liberties from black very low. It makes it a bit more difficult to cut here. Remember also, maybe if you have a stone here, later on, maybe it's Sante actually. So let's say, can you play this? Or this? Yeah, this seems to work, right? Because this is at array. And no, this doesn't work. Okay, sorry. So not easy to connect because if you play here, I think this works. Oops. So there is no easy way for white to threaten this, to save this stone. So I think the whole sequence for white is not ideal because you have too many cutting points, and this move still works, so you didn't build so much. There is probably still some agi there, and there are really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cutting points. That's too much, too many. That's too many. Whereas in the other variations here, okay, the center was getting big for black, but I think, oops, I think the bottom was a bit more difficult for black to invade. At least it's my impression. I mean, if black takes this, then you build really the bottom. And if black comes in, then there is probably a bit more chance to do something. Something like that. Anyway, so in the game, black and then play this ultra ambitious move. I'm pretty sure now it will be bloody. Okay, so black cut there. And black is in no rush, like he's targeting obviously the G4 cutting point, but white also needs to take care of his central group now. So if there's a move like that, this cut will be so painful. So white play there, and black goes on attacking. So as black, I think I would come straight away here. Oops, what can white do? Probably something like that. That seems really, really difficult for white because there are so many problems. So you have this kind of move. You have to take care of the corner. I don't know. It's even if you don't want to play like that, you can play here. So here is a bit too nice. I think you have to cut. White can sacrifice though, and try to get to keep the bottom. So maybe actually it's better to start this way. I don't know. Black has many options to invade. He can even try to come there first. So, but for now he decides to go for these stones. Not sure if it's a good idea because in a way they are kind of light. So you could imagine white just sacking them. I mean, he gets a lot of compensation by destroying the top. But here he tries to save them too, okay? So white really wants everything. He wants to save the center, he wants to reduce the top, he wants to take the bottom, and he thinks he will survive to all the cutting points. So let's see. So black goes for the kill, clearly, because he cannot afford to lose these two stones. I think this move is really ambitious though, but okay. Well, I guess maybe this game will be over soon because if these white groups dies, black will have too many points. If this white group managed to kill the top group, for example, there will be a problem. Okay. So this move seems to say I'm connecting everything, um, which is probably true. Let's check that. So, so just something like that, and I mean, I don't think white can play that. That might be misreading something. What about the other one? Oh, so I see some results coming. So I won't tell you the result of James versus Cian because we are reviewing this game too, so I will come back to it later on. On table 3 or 4, Neil won against Owen, which is quite a perf because on the paper wrote Owen is 2Q and Neil was something like 7Q. But we knew that Neil was stronger than that, but still beating Owen is quite a big performance. So well done to Neil. Good start of the tournament for him. So I was studying if white could try something here. And I think that's a problem for black, right? And this seems a one-way street, like what can black do? So is there something I'm missing here? This doesn't look good, so I don't know, something. So of course you can try this. Maybe this works, so. Okay. I don't know. I can't read anymore, but it looks to be difficult for black to me. Wow. White played this Kikashi now. Very interesting. So basically, I guess this would have made the whole sequence even easier, because if black plays here, no, we haven't. No, actually, I don't know why white played this Kikashi, because he doesn't need that. The problem is more about this cutting stone, right? And black says, okay, I'm capturing this group in the center. It's enough. So many things happening. So now the territorial balance is all changed. Is this group dying or not? I don't think so. And the white still says I can play that, which is true technically, but no, because there is a problem with this stone. Wow, black plays that. So black would like to play that, but obviously it's not working for now. Black could play that, but white would just play away. What can black do? The problem about that is it actually removed the Atari, and I think white has enough liberties, right? So how many liberties? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good. So I think white can just, play there. I mean, black has lost here, right? So white is playing once more. Okay, so black is playing elsewhere. Yeah, so white has taken a definite lead in the game, which is because this move here, well, I mean, this move didn't really work, right? There was still a weak point. We were just looking into it. Maybe this would be simpler, because in a way, yeah, well, black really wanted to kill this group, but so this move is really interesting. It looked to be ugly shape because there are so many Kikashi here, but it actually seems to work. So maybe black needs something more brutal in terms of liberties. This move I would really not see, and it seems to be working strangely, because if black plays on the top, there might be a ko, but ko would be a good result for white already. So it seems to be difficult to prevent from either connecting or play the sequence in the game. So okay, maybe there is something I don't see, but this move seems strange to be strangely working. I'm pretty sure what black overlooked this move, because if white plays something more usual like that, it seems to be quite easy to, or you can really play here. And if white tries something direct like that, he will lose liberties, which is basically making it very difficult to do anything. So we're back to this kind of sequence, but we see that if it was in this way, it was probably difficult for black to do, for white to win. And this might have led to the same sequence, but black can try something very direct like that, maybe, and it might work. Anyway, so white trying this move, play a Kikashi. Black says, okay, either black at this stage realized he would die and he said, let's took this stone. But the bad news is this move doesn't seem to work. If I would say if N15 doesn't prevent L17, then there is really something that didn't work in black strategy. And yeah, white has the exact amount of liberties. Can black play something different? I don't think so, really. Because even like that, there are still 4 liberties against 4. So, okay. So in the game, white protected the bottom, and now will try to play super safe. So here the idea is that if black plays that, he will probably need to play there, and then white will probably sacrifice the corner. I guess that's the idea. I wonder if black can play something like that. No. Okay, I don't know if it's a good idea to take the corner and sacrifice the group, or if it would have been simpler to just try to leave. I guess the idea is white is not sure to leave, so he wants to play a very safe sequence because he's ahead now. Well, that's actually what happened in the game. Okay. Oh, and he still tries to leave. Okay, I thought the whole idea about this sequence was to first take a maximum of point on the left and then sacrifice by taking the corner, which I think is a good strategy now because the I shape has been completely ruined by the G3 stone. So not sure what white is doing here. He was so ahead. Wow, and now he is in trouble again. So white put himself in big trouble with absolutely no reason. So of course there is a question of can white play something like that? But I guess just something like that is enough. There is a damage summary snapback here, so and black has enough liberties to play that. So I don't know why white played that. I mean, once you've played this sacrifice, you need to take the corner. And I really thought that was the idea here. And the good news is you are Sante, so you can really, or you can save the stones, or you can take a big Yose move. So there are a few options, or you can jump, which is super big. And I guess you're ahead. Maybe if I didn't count, but maybe just taking the points here to make a secure base, but definitely not trying to leave here after playing there. So if you don't play this, it's okay because you got a bit more space. Yeah, it looks definitely okay to leave, but playing on the left and on the right is greedy. And of course, black is behind by a lot, so you cannot expect him to just let you leave. Like, I'm not even sure how you're supposed to leave, but probably like that. I mean, considering this is completely a black territory, there is no way black will allow you to do that. I mean, he has no weak points. Wow. So, yeah, this doesn't work. Oh, no. Yeah, it doesn't work. White is trying everything he can. So the question is, who is ahead if all this dies, which will probably happen? Okay, so that was the last blow for white. So white played that, and black said, "I don't mind," and capture the 5 stones. So it's 10 points, which if white connects and black had to add a move for safety reasons, would be a big change in points. It would be it's 10 points reverse Sante, so it's probably 20 points. So that's a 20-point mistake. You can see white is not happy because he messed up, but the question is it Sante? So has white a follow-up? No, he doesn't. So now he tries to kill this group on the top. Okay, so after a very, very good sequence, white wanted too much on the lower side and ends up, I would say, dying big and dying with the 5 stone in the center. So probably black is ahead again now, because he got a quarter of the board, which is nearly 80 points, or probably less, but and white got a big chunk on the bottom left too, and a big chunk on the top, but it's a bit less big though. So okay, so white, what is white doing? I'm not sure. Maybe white is in Byoyomi though, I don't know. So that might explain why white played this move, but this is more like a co-threat. Okay, so I will quickly jump back to the game between James and Cian. We'll just put the review and we can keep this game on the bottom. So I think that was the review. So this is the end of, so I might go quite quick on this one. So I won't tell you the results, but the fight seems to have concluded quite quickly. Oh, I have to restart the game maybe. Oh, well, actually, white resign at this stage. Okay, so in fact, I wanted to show you the review, but it seems white resigned. I'm trying to see if I missed a game. That's really strange because black is not so ahead. Like, actually, the AI says black is ahead by half a point. So we saw, yeah, I think black resigned there, white resigned there. Okay, that's a pity. So as we were saying, white can just oh, sorry, I'm not looking at the good, but you can see, so instead of playing one, white resigned basically. So, okay, a good game, James. I just think, Cian, you resigned a bit early because you could just go out with a Kusumi in the center, and the game was really still pretty much balanced. I mean, black doesn't have so many territory. His right-hand side group is a bit weak, so anyway, so I'm going back to John versus Gavin then, because there is no point. I'm a bit lost with all my window. Oh, well, I think White resigned also, so I was really bad in my review. I just changed game exactly when, so I swapped from John to this game, from James and Cian game to this game just before Cian resigned, and now I jumped back to the other game just when John resigned. So we were wondering what about this move, and actually White resigned. I guess, yeah, it's very difficult to recover from that. I don't know what's the AI saying about that, but yeah. I think at this stage, the quarter of the board that black got is too big. So let's go back to a quick review of this game overall. Let's go back from the beginning. So we said black was playing a very solid game in order to be able to be in a position to attack, obviously. He played a bit too many moves, so we said S15 was maybe not Sante enough, and then so this was not so good for white, I think. And then this move was a bit too slow too, maybe too much on a small scale. And at this stage, white kind of took too many big points. Like he had R2, he got H4, he got C6. But then he played this move, which suddenly make his group a target for attack instead of going up in the center. So I think at this stage, Black is able to at least perform his plan. So that would be better to confirm with an AI, but let's keep the human review for now. The attack didn't go so well for Black, probably because of this move, which was a bit Dametsumari. And at this stage, it's not very clear what Black got from the attack. He got a kind of strength in the center, but slightly over-concentrated. White is out and can leave at any point, so plays on the edge. And here White messed up and played this move instead of leaving with this move. And I really think this move is better, even if there is this, because even if, as we said in the game, White got some strength to maybe play around here, and we didn't find a very obvious sequence. Even just playing that is, it's not so clear what White can do. So if we can find the perfect sequence for White to break up the top, maybe it's okay for White, but apart from that, it seems to be a big loss. And then Black tried something very, I would say, very fancy here. I wonder if it's not a bit too much just in the middle. I would expect maybe, I mean, the ladder is here anyway, so if Black plays some crazy sequence, there is high probability the ladder would be broken at some point. So I would like to start a fight in this area, knowing that on top of the fight, White also has to think about the ladder. But here, basically, White just has to think about the ladder. And even if White played just here, it's not so clear what Black achieved. So I think this move is not so good. And White played a counterattack. And here I was so surprised by the variation that White chose. So I would have pushed the other way around. So I would have played that. Because for me, the center is already very strong and try to take the full bottom. And I mean, there is always, so the question, of course, what if Black plays here? But we could see in the game that it's not so easy to kill. And at the very least, White got some points because in the game, there are, as we can see here, 5 cutting points, which are really difficult to cover. And White even played the most aggressive possible move here. At this point, I can't dream of White living in the center. Yeah, you mean in the other variations? Yeah. But here, I mean, it's for me it's a disaster for White just because there are so many cutting points. So if White wants to avoid being cut off in the center, he should play there, which would be the safety first move. It's probably the best move, I think, yeah, because Black can play here, but at least this cut doesn't seem so dangerous now that there is a protection. This is too much. Um, this is really going all out for White. I felt I was too far behind if I played your save variation with the ladder. Yeah, but here, I mean, I don't see how this helps you a lot with these 5 points, 5 cutting points. I understand the aggressiveness. Actually, this ladder also try to build some points in the bottom, but at least if you want to save the central stone, I would say protect the main ones, which are the 4 in the middle, but this one stone here is going a bit too far. And I mean, your bottom has still so many weak points. It seems like it's there is this cutting point is very hard too, and this is very hard on the White group. So yeah, exactly. So anyway, so you decide to go all out, and here the game seems so difficult for you. So maybe this is a bit strange. I wonder if Black needs that. I mean, Black just can play here. So first of all, it's not completely finished for this group. There is a lot of agi, I guess, even here, and even playing here, it's not so clear if there is not a cut. So for me, Black can play one move first, and the target of black is to destroy the bottom. Like there is so many cutting points now, and he could play f8, so he should try to destroy the bottom. But he goes all out on your group, and this seems like it will work. But this move, so I don't know what the AI thinks of this move. It seems to work really good. Like again, it's not such a big deal. Black can always play here, and even if you connect, black can still come back here. So we studied many variations here, but it seems if you play here, you capture the stones anyway, or maybe I missed something, I don't know. Maybe this, no. So it seems this move capture the stones, which is amazing, really, if it works. But you play Ukikashi first, and black doesn't answer, but the worst part is this move doesn't help to protect against this move. So after that, the game is so amazingly good for white. So not sure if this is really worth something. You had two liberties, you still have two liberties. So I think this move is completely not good because it helps black really. But even like that, I mean, we don't really care because you're ahead. But here, that's your really big mistake, I think, is to try to get everything. So you just need to leave, you have enough points. You were in Bayami, okay. That, what I don't understand is I really thought when you cut here, your idea was to take the corner. Really, I thought it seems so natural. You take on the left, and then you sacrifice on the right. Oops! Every time I'm doing this mistake. And I mean, you took on the left, you took on the right, so losing the small 8 points at the bottom is not a problem at all. So I really thought when I saw this move that was the plan, because if your plan is to leave, really that makes no sense to have played the to have taken the two stones first. S1. So I don't think it works, S1. So if black plays S1, you just take, okay. So let's take these variations first. What here? Does it work? Doesn't work, right? So you, and here maybe. Okay, so maybe this is more of a problem. Maybe it works. 8 at S2. Yeah, I mean, you mean something like that? But I mean, even without that, I think this can work, just because black is so strong around. So yeah, maybe he could kill you, but that basically shows that you cannot take this stone. So maybe you can actually do it the other way around. So here, oops, oops. So let's say this and this and this. No, I mean, these variations, it doesn't work because I think black is in trouble, really. Okay, so anyway, this stage playing on both sides is too much and you die, but the question is if you don't die, for example, if you can play here, I don't know if it's Sente, I don't think it is. Are you really behind that much? Probably a little bit, yeah. Okay, well, I guess really you need to avoid dying here. So that means really this is greedy. That's K3 is really the losing move because, I mean, if you just live with this, there is no way you will die. Okay, well, that was a very interesting game. So thank you guys. I will wrap up the other games to see who won. And congratulations to the winners on this first round. I'll publish the draw next Sunday. I'll prepare everything and send an email with the pairings next Sunday. So congratulations and see you around. Thank you for watching.